What's up, sports fans? All right, folks, we're going to talk the weekend sports. I've been sick, so we didn't do a preview for the college or NFL games last week because I was sick. You can probably still tell it in my voice. I've been coughing, and at some point I'll probably cough on this stream. We're not going to edit it, so I do apologize if it happens. Hopefully it won't happen. I'll try to pause it or something if it happens, but just kind of warning you. But we'll talk the weekend sports here. We just came off of a fantastic week of NFL and college football and baseball going on World Series. 3-0 right now. It's looking like a short series. The NBA is in full force, the new season. Some fun things are going on in the NBA. Obviously not a great week for that Miami Dolphins team right there, as you can see. Not a great week for them or the home team, the LSU Tigers, either losing to Texas A&M. But we're going to talk about all of that right now. Let's get it started. All right. I'm going to share out the screen here. And I am going to start with college football. Preview the games and all of that later. So let's go back and talk about week 9. Week 9's already happened. We'll rush through this real quick because I got a lot to talk about. I don't want this video to be an hour long. So Pittsburgh won 41-13, talking about top 25 games against Syracuse this week. Syracuse turned the ball over a lot in that game. Pittsburgh's on their way to a big clash coming up this week against SMU. They're 7-0, 3-0 in the ACC. BYU and their star running back, Ashton Jeanty. That man's a monster. 29-24, tough, gritty win on the road against a good UNLV team. Oregon had their way with Illinois, who's also a good team, but Oregon's just too much, too strong. They led them 35-3 at halftime. Penn State, 15-point win on the road. Never easy to win in Camp Randall. Good team, 7-0 in the season, 4-0. They got some big clashes coming up as well. Ohio State survived Nebraska at home. That was a tough game. Thought it would have had an easier time, but they literally had to survive them. Freshman played a great game for Nebraska, kept them in the game the whole way. Texas had to survive Vanderbilt on the road. Vandy's a good football team. Give them props, man. Quinn Ewers had a nice game, though, for Texas. They pulled it out on the road, which on the road, probably a home game because I'm sure they had more fans than Vandy, probably. Miami bouncing back against Florida State. And I say bouncing back because the Seminoles won the last 3 matchups. The Canes, though, dominant. Much better team this year. Florida State, wow, an abysmal 1-7 on the year. Cam Ward's my top quarterback off the board. He is a monster. I'm drafting NFL quarterbacks. I'm definitely taking Cam Ward as the top quarterback off the board. LSU, as I mentioned, the home team, aforementioned, 15-point loss. A game that Texas A&M flipped when they went to their backup quarterback in the second half. Tigers had no answers. And Nussmeier, 3 bad interceptions. 2 of them were really bad. 405 yards, but only completing 50% of his passes, 3 picks. LSU's got to get a run game established. I mean, 6-2 is a good record and all. I'm not faulting Brian Kelly for all of this, but Nussmeier is not consistent enough. The run game is whack. And A&M, 7 wins in a row. They lost on opening night to Notre Dame, and they reeled off 7 straight. And they're 5-0 in the SEC. BYU, 8-0 on the season, ranked number 11. They smash UCF 37-24. For whatever reason, UCF was a favorite in this game. I never understood that, but BYU showed why they're the better team and why they're 8-0 on the year. And UCF's 3-5. Yeah, I just paused the recording a minute because I had to cough. Notre Dame, big win over Navy. Navy previously undefeated and ranked. Definitely not going to be ranked anymore. Notre Dame came out fired up and ready to go. 31-0 at one point. 51-14. They roll. Indiana continuing to win 8-0 for the first time, I think, since the 1930s. 5-0 in the Big Ten. Couple big games coming up. If they can pull those off, that'll be a huge date with the Buckeye Soldiers. They beat Washington 31-17. Washington some turnovers in that game early. Pick 6. Helped make the job easier for Indiana and their freshman quarterback playing for their starter being hurt. You need those breaks to go your way to help you out. Alabama rolling against a Missouri team that looks like garbage. Started off the year with such high hopes, ranked number 5 or 6 in the country, but quarterbacks hurt. It's tough right now for Missouri. Alabama's defense has not looked that good all year, but Missouri just felt like a lost cause against Alabama's defense. They look weak. Kansas State pulls out a close win in the Sunflower State Classic here against the Jayhawks, who are having a disappointing season at only 2-6, 1-4 in the Big 12, 29-27. Throw the records out when you get state rivals going head-to-head like this, arch rivals. Really good football game. Oklahoma continues to spiral. They lose to Ole Miss 26-14. SMU, big win again. They had to survive on the road against a Duke team that's better than people think, 6-2. 28-27 right there in the win over Manny Diaz in those Duke Blue Devils. Kind of debating with myself if I want to save the top 25 for my preview show, or do I want to do it right? And I'm going to run it down real quick. Just running it down real quick. Oregon is number 1 in both polls. Well-deserved 61 of the 62 votes and 53 of the 54 votes in the coaches poll. Georgia comes in at number 2. They got one loss on the season. Of course, Penn State's number 3. The Buckeyes, number 4. Penn State's undefeated right now. Buckeyes have that one blemish to number 1, Oregon. On the road, number 5's the Canes. They're 8-0 on the season. They haven't played quite as tough a schedule as the teams ahead of them, but they're finding ways to win all of these games. The Longhorns coming in at number 6. They actually dropped a spot. They flipped with Miami as they had a tough game against Vandy on the road. I don't think they should have dropped for it because Vandy's a good football team. Tennessee's number 7 and continue to be number 7 in the AP, and they move up a spot to number 7 in the coaches poll. Notre Dame, number 8, up 4 spots for their impressive win over Navy, up 2 spots in the coaches to 9. BYU's up 2 spots to 9 in the AP poll. They're a good football team, man. 8-0, give them props. A&M's up 4 spots for that big win over the Tigers to number 10 in the AP poll. Iowa State's number 11 and then number 10 in the coaches poll. They're also undefeated. They actually dropped a spot in the AP poll. Clemson went down 2 spots in the AP poll and up 1 spot in the coaches poll, which is weird, from 11 and then number 8. Clemson played really good ball ever since that first loss to Georgia. Indiana stayed in the same spot at 13. They're undefeated on the season. I think they're underrated. I think they should be close, if not in the top 10. I think they deserve a little more credit. Haven't beaten the best teams this year, but they're in the Big Ten. If you're in the Big Ten and you're undefeated at this point, I think you deserve more props. Bama's number 14 in both polls, up a spot. Looked good. Missouri looked absolutely hapless. BYU and Ashton Genty, number 15 in the AP poll, number 19 in the coaches poll. That's a big difference. Up 2 spots in the AP. The Tigers of LSU, number 16, down 8 spots in the AP poll. That's a lot. That's a big drop. Down 9 spots in the coaches poll to 16. It's a big drop. If LSU wins out, the Tigers will be in the playoffs. So, but you got to win out. You lose one more, it's over, folks. It's over. Kansas State, number 17 and number 15 in the coaches poll. They survived against Kansas. Pittsburgh, number 18, continuing to be undefeated, and number 17 in the coaches. Ole Miss, number 19, and then number 18 in the coaches. SMU, number 20 in both polls, 7-1. Got a big date with Pittsburgh coming up. Army, number 21 in both polls, continuing to be undefeated, hoping that they don't suffer the same fate Navy did, because they got to play Notre Dame too coming up. Washington State, number 22 in both polls as they debut, 7-1 on the season. They are in the Pac-2, of course, them in Oregon State. Colorado, number 23, primetime Deion Sanders in the AP, not in the coaches poll yet, 6-2. Illinois, 24 in both polls. Wise, Missouri, number 23 in the coaches poll. They should not be ranked. They should not even be close to the poll. They're 25 in the AP. Get them out of the poll. They look like pure and utter garbage the last few weeks. Kick them out. So that, I'm just kind of glancing down at the FCS poll. We're not going over that, but I'm just kind of glancing down at it. All right, so now we're going to back out of this. We're going to talk some other sports too, obviously, because this is the weekend sports. We're going to jump to the World Series real quick. The World Series is 3-0. The Dodgers have a chance to close the Yankees out in the Bronx tonight. And Freddie Freeman's been a star of this series. Man, Freddie Freeman's been great. But again, the cough. But yeah, Freddie Freeman's been great. And the Dodgers, they're on their way to their first World Series since 2000 when they beat my guys, the Tampa Bay Rays, the COVID year. That was a 6-game series. A little disappointed that series had to happen with no fans, but this is a series I think everyone wanted to see because it was the two big markets, two popular teams, but really hadn't been a series. Dodgers came out, a lot of drama in the first series. Freddie Freeman hit the home run to win it, but the last 2 games, just not a lot of drama, man. They've just been a better team. And when you look at what happened in the game last night in Yankee Stadium, it was a couple big plays that really set the tone. The Freeman obviously got 2 runs on a hit in the first inning. That set the tone early. Jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Yankees were down 3-0. Had to play at home plate. Great throw. Great play by the catcher. Tossed out at home plate. And at that point, it was the Yankees were done. That was I would say was a vampire that sucked all the energy out of Yankee Stadium. I think at that point people were like, "Oh, we're not going to win this game. We're going to probably get swept." That's sort of how Yankee Stadium went after that play happened. So we're going to go on to the NBA for a little bit. So the NBA season got good and going. I think on my last video I mentioned the fact that it was getting started like opening night or something, but NBA is good and going right now. And look at the standings right now. Cleveland Cavaliers, Boston Celtics, only 2 4-0 teams. You expect that from the Celtics. Cleveland's got a new coach, and they still got Donovan Mitchell, of course, the Spider. Oklahoma City's 3-0. You expect that as well. Last night, Paolo Banchero went off for the Orlando Magic, 50 points, and they needed all 50 of them to survive a good Indiana Pacer team. It was a game in which your second-best player, Franz Wagner, was ill. They played him about 10 minutes and took him out because he wasn't able to continue to go. So you really needed all 50, almost a triple-double, just 1 assist short. He had 50, 13, and 9. What a game for P5. So the NBA games for tonight, you got the Denver Nuggets and the Brooklyn Nets, both teams 1 and 2. Joker's averaging over 32 points a game this year, so they're not losing because of him. Man, Cam Thompson, he's averaging over 30 points a game for the Nets. I mean, it's only 3 games into the year, but that's a nice number to be averaging even 3 games in. Mavericks 2-1 playing the Timberwolves. Of course, that's a rematch of the Western Conference Finals. That game's going to be on TNT. Julius Randle, the big addition for Minnesota. They lost Cat, of course, in that trade to the Knicks. Luka is Luka. You know Luka's a monster. And Kyrie, of course. Should be a really good basketball game. That one's going to be live on TNT tonight if you want to check that one out. The Kings, they play the Jazz tonight. Jazz 0-3 on the season, complete rebuild mode. They did pay Lauri Markkanen. I think he's going to stick around for a while. The Kings, they're kind of a good to middling team. You got Fox and you got Sabonis. You got enough talent there. You expect them to be a playoff level team. Hopefully for them, not a play-in team, but actually make the playoffs. The Pelicans play at the Warriors tonight. The Pels started off 2-0 before finally dropping 1. Brandon Ingram's putting up nice numbers this year, 22-7 a game. Zion missed the first game, but did come back the last 2. They played 2 games against Portland. They won 1 and lost 1. Well, they had kind of a doubleheader. They won their first game against the Bulls, so yeah, 2-1. Warriors 2-1 also. Pelicans a small favorite on the road, which is interesting. I don't know if that means Curry or someone's not playing, but a little surprised they're a road favorite over Golden State. All right, so now let's go to the NFL. And we'll start off, we'll talk about these games that just happened. and I'm in the wrong week here. Week 8, Thursday night football, Rams, 30-20 win over the Vikings. Vikings starting to come down to earth. Matthew Stafford's good, man. 279 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's good, man. He really is. Rams only 3-4, but that's a tough team, especially with Kupp and Puka back from injury. Philadelphia dispatching the Bengals. Look, man, we all want to think the Bengals are going to be a really good team and they're going to do really well because they have Joe Burrow and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But at some point, you are who you are. The Bengals hadn't won a home game this year. They're 0-4 at home. They're 3-5 on the season. They're just not good. I'm sorry. They're just not good. I mean, last year, I think they went 9-8 with Jake Browning at quarterback. I think this year they probably might be lucky to go 9-8. They're just not good. Jalen Hurts had a good game. You know, they kind of dummy it down, let him throw 20 times, run Saquon, play it safe. Hurts has been a turnover machine. I've stated many times, but you know what? Past few games, no turnovers. You know, you dummy it down. Don't let him air the ball out 40 times a game. Play it safe. Let him use his legs. Let's use Saquon's legs. We can be a good, dominant football team in Philadelphia. The upset of the day, my dog, Jameis Winston, 334 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and he ate a W as the Browns shock the Ravens 29-24. Lamar Jackson played a good game. They kept Derrick Henry in check for the most part, 73 yards and a touchdown. But I tell you, the Ravens lost this game mainly because their secondary couldn't catch one of Jameis's interception throws. Because Jameis threw 3 balls they should have picked off. They didn't pick any of them off. So guess what? At the end of the day, you took an L for it. I'm happy for Jameis, though. What a great win. He seems like a great guy. Learned from mistakes he's made in the past. I like Jameis Winston. Wish nothing but the best for that guy. Good win for Cleveland and their fan base against the Baltimore Ravens, who used to be the Cleveland Browns. I'm sure those fans hold a lot of vendettas. I doubt if they dislike any team in football any more than the Ravens because Art Modell took that franchise in the middle of the night and left Cleveland and went to Edgar Allan Poe country, quote the Raven, nevermore. And they won Super Bowls, 2 of them, and Cleveland's never won any. So there's got to be a lot of vitriol in that city for the Baltimore Ravens. How about the Detroit Lions just playing with the Tennessee Titans? They don't even have many yards offense. It wasn't like an overly impressive offensive game from Jared Goff or anything. It was efficient. They scored every way you could score with punt returns and special teams and pick sixes. And Gibbs did have 127 yards and a touchdown, but they easily dispatched the Titans 52-14, a game that really felt like a powerhouse college team from the SEC playing against a team from the Sun Belt. Wow, this one was a disappointment right here. Miami Dolphins, Arizona Cardinals. Thought Tua played well. He did a lot of good things. The only mistakes or rust that you saw from Tua, and it goes to Tua and it goes to the center snap exchange, fumble snaps. I think it was 3 of them in this game. One of them cost them 2 points because the high snap, which I mean is as much on both of them because you got to take something off that ball. Aaron Brewer, you snapped it way too high. But if you Tua, you got to find a way to at least knock that ball down and fall on it and avoid the safety. But that 2 points did make a difference. But at the end of the day, it was the Dolphins defense who couldn't stop Trey McBride from having 9 catches for 124 yards. Kyler Murray, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, making big plays to Marvin Harrison Jr. And Cardinals chased down the Dolphins, 10 points lead, come back in the fourth quarter and pull out a victory. That's a tough one for my guys. 2-5, 1-3 at home. Season is looking bleak, very bleak. Patriots, this made me feel a little bit better, though, beating the Jets. Love seeing the demise of Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, man. 25-22, that's a tough one, man. Drake May gets knocked out of the game with a concussion, and Jacoby Brissett marches his team down the field and get a victory. Both teams 2-6 on the year. Aaron Rodgers, he ain't saying relax anymore. He's talking about finding a way out of the darkness. And, you know, he knows the darkness well. Kirk O'Chains, another big day against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Falcons take control of this division, taking a full game lead and sweeping the Bucs 31-26. Baker Mayfield had a great game despite losing his top two receivers a week ago. Couldn't ask for more than 37 of 50, 330 yards and 3 touchdowns when you don't have Mike Evans, when you don't have Chris Godwin. But at the end of the day, it was Kirk O'Chains. It was Kyle Pitts, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was enough for the Falcons to take control of the NFC South. The Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love got injured again this week, so they had to close it out. Had to close it out with the backup and found a way to win this one again, 30-27, drive them down the field, get a field goal in clutch time. Malik Willis went 4 for 5, 56 yards, had a touchdown, drove him down the field for a game-winning field goal. Give that guy props. We all thought he was an NFL quarterback in Tennessee, but I tell you what, Matt LaFleur has proven he can play. Houston Texans survive Indianapolis at home 23-20. Texans 6-2 on the year, but their flawed team, Diggs, got knocked out, and he's not coming back this year. So that one's tough for a team that's already lost a star receiver in Houston. But 6-2, 4-0 at home. Anthony Richardson had the controversy of subbing out of the game because he was tired. And then we hear today that Joe Flacco is going to start next week. So not a good look for Richardson, and now he's going to see the bench, but, he hasn't looked good. If I'm a Colts fan, this Joe Flacco news is probably making me happy because I feel like this probably betters my chances of being in the playoffs. The New Orleans Saints dropped 26-8 to the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers 4-3 on the year. Right there in the middle of the playoff hunt, Justin Herbert, 279 yards, a pair of touchdowns. Ladd McConkey on my bench in fantasy. Friggin' 6 catches, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns on my bench. He's one of a couple moves I could have made that I would have won, but instead I lost. He's 1 or 2. We'll get to that second move in a minute. But the Saints continue to lose, man, 6 games in a row. They put Jake Haener in. They bench Rattler. Derek Carr is expected to come back this week. It's just rough for New Orleans. It's rough, man. They were 2-0, so much promise, and now it's like time to clean house, time to get rid of Mickey Loomis, time to get rid of Dennis Allen, time to clean house. Buffalo Bills, easy time on the road across the country to the Seahawks, 31-10. Josh Allen threw his first interception of the year, which is crazy. Man that's known as a turnover machine just threw his first interception. James Cook ran for 111 yards, a pair of scores. Shakir, 9 catches, 107 yards. Big time win for the Bills. Okay, so that second move that cost me a fantasy game was I play in a 2-quarterback league. So my second quarterback that I started Caleb Williams. Wasn't a good idea. I left Bo Nix on the bench. Just the guy should have started, would have made a big difference. Bo Nix, 284 yards, 3 touchdowns as the Broncos smack around the bad Carolina Panthers, 28-14. Panthers 1-7 on the year. Bryce Young back in playing quarterback, but to no avail. They came out early and scored, but Broncos got the next 28 points and coasted. Kansas City Chiefs 27-20 against the Raiders. All their games look the same. They're not pretty, but they find a way to win. This is 8 straight games with at least 1 interception for Patrick Mahomes, which is crazy to think about. He's got 8 touchdowns and 9 picks, but at the end of the day, Mahomes is still a beast. At the end of the day, the Chiefs are still the team to beat because they are the 2-time defending champions, and they are 7-0. They beat the Raiders, but again, a close game. They almost always never cover. Okay, the Chicago Bears and the Commanders in the wildest game of the day. The wildest game of the day. Oh, my goodness. Jaden Daniels, crazy Hail Mary on the last play, man. Crazy. I don't know how the guy got behind the defense to make the catch, but he did. 326 yards, the interception, playing hurt. Jaden Daniels balled out. Caleb Williams struggled most of the day, stepped up at the end, but didn't do enough to get the victory. The San Fran 49ers, 30-24, hold off the Cowboys. Cowboys put a little rally together in the fourth quarter, but not enough juice to break through. They're 3-4, and the 49ers are 4-4 in an NFC West that's really crowded. Pittsburgh Steelers, 26-18 win last night over the New York Giants. Giants dropped to 2-6. Steelers 6-2. Russ looked good again, 20 of 28, 278, and a tutty. So good win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that pretty much sums up all of the action from this weekend. So some things to look forward to. Got some big games coming up. We're going to preview the college football games later in the week. We're going to preview the NFL games later in the week. So we're going to get all of that action going. Might make a video about the NBA. Might make a video about something. Got a lot of stuff going on this channel. So make sure you stay tuned and get all of the action. So as always, remember, it's peace and it's sports. And I'll see y'all later. Peace out.